All right, so 7.2, evaluating functions. This one shouldn't take us very long either. So f of a equals the absolute value of a, and we need to find f of negative 10. So I'm just going to plug in negative 10 wherever there's an a, and I'm just going to put it in parentheses. Put it in parentheses or I will be so mad at you, okay? So the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. And we're done. Let's look at this one. So we're given that h of n equals the absolute value of n. We need to find h of negative 5. Well, h of negative 5 equals the absolute value of negative 5, which is 5. Because remember, anytime you put a negative into an absolute value, it spits out a positive number. Okay, so if like that was negative 940, it would be positive 940. It's always the positive. Okay? Let's look at this one. So we're given h of x equals x plus 1, and we need to find h of negative 9. So I'm going to plug negative 9 in for my x, put it in parentheses, okay, which is negative 9 plus 1, which is negative 8. Done. So look at this one. So h of x equals 3x plus 1. We need to find h of negative 8. So I'm going to plug in negative 8, which is 3 times negative 8 plus 1. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24 plus 1 is negative 23. Cool? Let's look at this one. So these ones get a little bit harder because we're plugging in variables. Now we're not plugging in numbers. So we're given g of a equals a squared minus 4a. Well, we need to plug in negative a. So g of negative a equals negative a squared minus 4 times negative a. Well, negative a squared is positive a squared because negative a times negative a is a positive. And if you can't really see that, so if we have negative a squared, that is the same thing as negative a times negative a. Negative times a negative is a positive. A times a is a squared. So that's why this just became a squared. Okay? Now, that negative 4 times negative a becomes a positive also, so that becomes a squared plus 4a. So g of negative a equals a squared plus 4a. Let's look at 6. So now we're given k of n equals negative n squared minus 4. And we need to find k of n minus 3. So I'm going to plug in n minus 3 wherever I have n's. Now, so you get negative, I'll back up. So k of n minus 3 equals negative, and then n minus 3 squared minus 4. This is where you guys will make mistakes, so don't make this mistake. N minus 3 squared does not equal n squared minus 9, or n squared plus 9. You have to use the box here. So we have n minus 3 times n minus 3. Use the box. N minus 3, n minus 3. So n times n is n squared. Negative 3 times n is negative 3n. N times negative 3 is negative 3n. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So that becomes negative, and then n squared minus 6n plus 9 minus 4. Distribute that negative, so it's negative n squared plus 6n minus 9, then minus 4. Combine like terms, and it's negative n squared plus 6n minus 13. Okay? Let's look at this one. So h of t equals t squared plus 5. So we need to find h of t plus 3, which is t plus 3 squared plus 5. T plus 3 squared is t plus 3 times t plus 3. Use the box. Get t squared plus 3t plus 3t plus 9, which is t squared plus 6t plus 9 plus 5. We don't have anything to distribute, so we can combine like terms. You get t squared plus 6t plus 14. Okay? Now let's just do this last one. So we have p of n equals 4n plus 1. So p of n squared is 4 times n squared plus 1, which is just 4n squared plus 1. Okay? Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Just make sure when you have t plus 3 or like x plus 4 or x minus 9, whatever it may be, and if you're ever squaring that, use the box. Okay, please use the box on those. Okay, take the quiz. See you guys tomorrow.